Hit it, Phil.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Can it be the breeze that fills the trees with rare and magic perfume? Oh, no, it isn't the breeze. It's Jackson time. La-da-da-da.
Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. It is so great to be here again, and I have something special for you today. We have the very second episode of the whole Jack Benny radio show. This one is the very first one with Mary Livingston. I think you're really going to enjoy that piece. Also, the episode is written in such a way that it's more evocative of the later episodes, which I think you guys will really like, instead of the very first one is pretty jarring for a Benny fan. That's why last week when I presented it with an interview first and then onto the episode because I thought you guys might like the interview. This one, the episode stand on its own, so I'm going to present the episode first. I was listening to it, I messed with the sound, and then I decided, no, I'm going to leave it the way it is. It sounded so good the way it is. It has been worked on by others in the past, but I didn't do anything to it. So this is like I say, a great sounding episode. It is it's the end of 1932. We just have elected FDR as president. He hasn't taken office yet. He won't take office until March of 1933. So this is really the first episode of 1933. It's from the 1st of January, 1933. It brings up the concept of having an old New Year, the old man New Year, and the young baby, what? I guess the old man old year and the new man, new baby, new year. Anyway, it's a concept that Jack will play with for decades to come, and I think it's neat seeing the beginnings of this. It also, I'm not sure I mentioned it yet, but it's Mary Livingston's very first episode on the Jack Benny Show, and that's going to be our main focus for today. Anyway, it's her first surviving episode. Let's say it that way. Her very first episode, we do have, not in audio form, but we do have the script for it. Kathy's book, the Jack Benny Lost Radio Broadcasts. It's the very last script in the very first volume. And I'm going to read you her first lines just so you get a chance to hear Mary's first lines. Everybody kind of knows Jack's first lines and things, but we don't know Mary's. So, first of all, I'm going to read what the announcer says because I love this, because this is very Dawn-worthy response. So the announcer starts with, he's responding to what Jack had said earlier. I'm not going to read you what Jack said earlier, but he says, "Oh, Jack, please," which of course is a very Dawn-like line. Then Jack says, "You didn't like that one, Ed Jimmy," who's his announcer. Then Sadie for the first time, and she's written in here as Sadie, though she's Mary Livingston. I don't think she had a last name at this point. I think she was known as Mary, or she would soon be anyway. She says, "Oh, I think that's awfully funny." And the announcer says, "Pardon me, miss, but the guests are not allowed to make comments during our program." And then Sadie says, "I think Mr. Benny is the cutest thing." "Shh, miss, please," says the announcer. And that's all she says for the beginning section. She comes back later in that script. But if you want to read the whole script, pick up Kathy Fuller Seeley's book, Jack Benny, The Lost Radio Scripts. Now, besides bringing you this episode from 1932, I wanted to bring a bonus. So it's a huge bonus, a gigantic bonus for some folks, probably. I presented it before, but not on YouTube. We're going to segue right from the 1933 episode, I guess, first of 1933, into Johnny Carson's interview of Mary Livingston from 1978, where she was promoting her book. And this is the entire interview. It's the interview where she talks about the Rose story, which is totally wonderful. And I bring that to you. And I'm including my introduction and everything on that when I presented it originally. So it's going to bring the Rose story up front anyway. Then you'll have the Rose story, and then you'll have the whole episode, the whole interview with Johnny Carson from the Tonight Show of Mary Livingston from 1978. I wish we had video, but we don't. We just have audio. But she is promoting her book, Jack Benny, a biography by Mary Livingston Benny and Hilliard Marks with Marcia Borey. And I'm going to read you a little bit about on the back of the book cover, what it says. It says, during a lifetime of making people laugh, Jack Benny made many friends. Here's what a few of them have to say about him in this book. He was the best we had, the very best, says Edgar Bergen. As a performer, Jack just can't be compared with anyone else. He could talk about the weather and get laughs. Jack was unique because he wasn't trying to be unique. He was such a nice person. They are really so rare in this world. George Burns. Without question, Jack and his show were the most tremendous influences on my development, on what I tried to do, on what I've become. The man was what he was. He was a man with no pretensions at all. Jack was a very special person in my life, in so many lives. Johnny Carson. What made Jack so especially dear to all of us was that no matter how far he traveled, no matter how high his own star rose, there was always a part of him, one corner of himself, that was forever back in Waukegan. And he never forgot it. Claudette Colbert. There was an elegance about Jack, and an innocence too. He never gave an audience the impression that he was smarter than they were or superior to them. Yet they looked up to him. There was a generosity about him, a warm-heartedness that came through. He was an aristocrat of the spirit, a rare blend of simplicity and complexity. I don't think you can ever fully explain a man like that. Gregory Peck. Last one, Jack had a rare magic, that indefinable something called genius. Bob Hope. Now, this episode, just so we get an idea of it, our last episode, I said, was the first one. This is the next surviving one that we're presenting. Now, all the episodes here, because it ran twice a week, and this first one that Mary was on was from July of 1927. So this episode, if you go back to the very first one, right, all the way to this one, that was May 2nd, all the way to this one, the second surviving episode, it's all of these, about 25 scripts, let's see, all of these, her second book, every single script in here, not a single one survives as in audio form, but they're all in here. So you can read through the scripts of the Jack Benny show that are lost. Hence the term, the lost radio broadcast. Then the third book, which is even thicker, you go through all of these up to where I have my envelope, and the one right after the envelope is this one we're going to be listening to today, right? And then the rest of them in this aren't in there either. There's only one script available. And then lastly, the fourth book that just came out a few weeks ago, you can pick that up, and that has the scripts that follow from this one. I think the third one, the one we're presenting next week, might be in here. We'll figure that out for next week. Anyway, I've talked enough. Let's get on to the show. You're going to enjoy Mary Livingston in this, in her first surviving appearance on the Jack Benny Show, and then you're going to enjoy her with her wonderful interview that sounds pretty darn good from the Johnny Carson Show. Forever we didn't have it, or if we had it, we had parts of it in terrible sound quality, but it's so nice to have it in good sound quality. So enjoy. We'll see you next week for the third episode of Jack Benny on the radio. See you then.
Here we are again, happy as can be, all good pals and jolly good company. Roll down the town, house on the tree, all good pals and jolly good company.
Never mind the weather, never mind the rain.
Now we're all together, whoop she goes again. La-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-dee. All good health and jolly company.
Ladies and gentlemen, a half hour of sparkling entertainment by Canada Dry, the champagne of ginger ale. It's holiday time, time for gaiety and good cheer. And whether you are celebrating at home or at one of the many fine hotels, clubs, or restaurants, Canada Dry adds joy and sparkle to your festivities. Canada Dry is a real ambassador of holiday spirit. This program stars Jack Benny, the Canada Dry humorist, and Ted Weems Orchestra. And Ted Weems opens the program with Rise and Shine from Take a Chance.
And take it, rise and shine. Life's what you make it. If gloom the stone shows you'll get you as he soon does. Shout hidey-ho-de-ho and do just as the moon does. Rise and shine. Don't be a mourner. Things are fine around the corner. No harm in trying it. There's nothing to it. You can do it like the sunrise and shine.
And now, Jack Benny.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Not to be outdone by the other programs on the air tonight, I want to wish you all a very happy New Year. And before going any further, I'd like to present to you our first guest star of the evening, who must rush away as he is a day late now. He has graciously consented to say his last few words on the Canada Dry program, and I now take the honor and pleasure in introducing to you that genial old gentleman, Father Time of Times Square. Father Time.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Canada Dry audience, I am Father Time.
He's laughing, folks, but he's worried.
Of course, you know, friends, that yesterday was to have been my last day on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
But owing to a very special request made by our good friend, Mr. Benny, I postponed the occasion until tonight.
That's darn sweet of you, Dad.
Don't mention it, Jack. I just want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, that I did the best that I could these past 365 days to bring cheer and happiness into your lives. Of course, I've missed in spots.
I'll say you did, Pop.
But at least I made the effort. And now all I can say is that I wish you all a very happy and prosperous... Oh, I'm getting weaker. You better take the microphone, Jack.
Brace up, old man. Brace up.
Oh.
Paul, quick. Give him some ginger ale right away. Here you are, Father Time. Take a sip of this Canada Dry ginger ale.
Made to order by the glass.
Quiet, Paul. Here you are, Dad. Now, how do you feel?
Hello, everybody. It's 1933 and ready to go.
Another victory for Canada Dry. Hooray! So you're 1933, eh?
Yeah.
Say, will you do me one favor, 1933?
What's that?
Please, in this coming year, we don't want to hear any more about Gandhi going on diet.
Okay, Jack.
Hooray! Well, anyway, folks, this is a new year, and we're all happy. But personally, I'm glad that the excitement is over. I really am.
Jack, you talk as though the holidays were a big strain on you. What did Christmas really cost you?
Well, to tell you the truth, Paul, I spent a lot of money. I mean, like a big fool, I bought handkerchiefs for Durante, earmuffs for Gable, and a pair of shoes for Garbo, you know? I mean, that would break anybody. And by the way, Paul, that was a nice combination greeting card you sent me.
Well, it was just a single card, Jack.
Well, I mean the combination of thoughts. You know, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Easter greetings. You forgot to mention the 4th of July and Columbus Day.
Jack,
Well, anyway.
Jack, did you make any resolutions this year?
I made one, Mary, and here it is. Resolve that I, Jack Benny, shall during the coming year refrain from smoking, drinking, swearing, and staying up late at night.
Do you really mean that?
I certainly do.
Then you might as well take this crocheting outfit. You'll need it more than I will. You know, Jack, I made some New Year's resolutions, too.
Yeah, what were they, Mary?
Well, I hereby resolve to stop going out with other fellas to make you jealous, except Elmo, Red, and Parker.
I see.
Because I think they're swell.
That's nice, Mary. You'll be the lone wolfess.
I'm not going to be narrow-minded, Jack. During the coming year, you can buy all my dinners.
I can. You resolve that, Mary.
Uh-huh.
Well, dissolve it.
Gee, a girl can't even make a resolution.
No.
Say, Jack, I made a resolution, too.
What is that, Ted?
I hereby resolve during the coming year to stop lending people money. Not because you owe me $5, Jack. Don't get me wrong.
No, sure not. Go right ahead.
I hope I haven't offended you.
No, Ted, but if I don't speak to you for the rest of the year, don't think it's on account of this. You know.
And, Jack,
What?
I made a resolution, too.
Why, Andrea, I don't remember borrowing any money from you.
Oh, I wasn't going to mention that yet.
Oh.
But I resolved to sing more and better songs during the coming year. I thank you.
You're welcome, and she will. That was good, Andrea. Say, Paul, what did you resolve?
That Canada Dry is the champagne of ginger ale, and you'll get a better nickel back on each large bottle.
Ted, I resolve that you play something before Paul makes any further resolutions.
Darkness all around. Darkness all around.
When it's darkness, on the delta, that's the time my heart is together of the
Shelter of the night.
on the delta, only heaven is inside. When it's darkness on the delta, let me linger in the shelter of the night.
That was fine, fellas. Now, as you all know, ladies and gentlemen, it is customary at the close of each year to review the outstanding achievements and personalities of the past year. We are very fortunate tonight in having up here some of the unusual guest stars who have appeared on our Canada Dry program during the year 1932. Of course, you all remember the marvelous tribute paid to Miss Amelia Earhart last summer, following her history-making solo flight to Ireland. Thousands of people lined the street and showered her with ticker tape. And when she picked up the ticker tape and saw how her securities had dropped, she wanted to fly back to Ireland. Well, anyway, with all due credit to our courageous heroine, Miss Earhart, we have with us this evening a young lady who also deserves honorable mention. A lady who not only flew to Ireland, but upon reaching Ireland, immediately swam across the English Channel and got to France just in time to win the Ladies' Open Golf Championship. What a flight, what a swim, and what a game. Now, in the golf match, she went around the Paddy de Foie Gras course, making the, I can hardly pronounce that, making the round of 18 holes in 21, 17 holes in one, and one birdie. Now, top that, all of you golfers who talk a good game. And now we will have a few words from the champion of champions, Miss Violet Ray. Miss Ray is wearing a beautiful low-cut evening gown and is appearing almost in the flesh. And now, ladies and gentlemen, may I present Violet Ray, which is certainly a treatment. Miss Ray, if you please.
I am very happy to be here tonight. And all I can say is that I owe all my success to Slippery Elm Bath Soap.
Miss Ray, please.
Oh, I owe all my success to Canada Dry ginger ale sold in large 5-glass bottles.
There you are, folks, and we didn't even ask her.
But you promised me that if I said
Now,
Canada
Miss
Dry...
Ray, tell the folks how you accomplished that wonderful flight across the Atlantic.
Well, I took a pound of ordinary flour, added some water, and stirred it. Then I simply added the yolks of 3 eggs and some sugar.
That's very interesting.
When you're away, I pleasant day, remember me. When shadows fall, my heart will fall, remember me. When other lips and other eyes speak tenderly, beneath the moon, some night in June, remember me. You love may come and go, oh, love remains. Someone may whisper low, love's old refrain. But if you care, no matter where you chance to be, when you're away, my heart will say, remember me. Remember me. When other lips and other eyes speak tenderly, beneath the moon, some night in June, remember me. Love may come and go, oh, love remains. Someone may whisper low, love don't refrain. But if you can, no matter where you can away, my heart will say, remember me.
That was Miss Andrea Marr singing Remember Me. And now let me refresh your memory once more. Some of you may remember during the week of August 1st, we had on our program 2 of the world's greatest trained dogs who were awarded... Buck Benny, the two-fisted, quick-triggered marksman who shoots from the hip and never misses.
Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. I hope you're enjoying our Jack Benny Guest Shot Summer that we're running for you. It's 2016, and what a great year it has been so far for me with old-time radio shows and finding a lot of the holy grails that I've been looking for years and years. Tonight, I'm probably going to be sharing, of all the things I found this year, probably my ultimate holy grail. This is an interview with Mary Livingston that I brought you before, parts of it, but with terrible sound. And every time I bring it to you, I always say, someday we'll find high-quality sound on this. Part of this interview with Johnny Carson from The Tonight Show focuses on Mary's story of Jack giving her a rose after he passed away. Every day for the rest of her life, he gave her a rose. It's one of the most beautiful romantic stories that I've ever heard of. And I bring it up most every Valentine's Day with this really terrible copy of it I've had for years. Well, today, I bring to you for the first time my high quality or higher quality copy that I've got. And I have the entire interview now. So to begin with, I'll play you a little bit of the interview, the part that talks about the rose, so you'll get to see how high quality this is. The rose will come up again, of course, in the actual full interview, but I thought, since I've sectioned this piece out, I might as well share it with you. So here it is.
After Jack passed away, I think it was about a week later, a red rose came. No name, just one red rose. And I thought, isn't this lovely? Somebody sent me red rose, how dear. The next day, and still came, and I couldn't figure it out. And I said, well, who's the florist? You know, if I called the florist, they probably could tell me. Nobody knew. It wasn't until and I still getting them every day. And it was about, I guess, 6 months later when the florist, David Jones,
told you that.
Jack had told him to send me a rose for the rest of my life.
Well, that is sweet. I mean, that gives you... That's the measure of the man. That pretty much is the measure of the man.
I think that kind of adds and sums Jack up a little bit.
Wasn't that awesome? Sound quality. And just, I'm so glad we catch Mary telling this story so we get a chance to hear it. Now, on this Guest Shot Summer, I've been bringing you Jack Benny shows. Jack Benny guest appearances on shows, I should say, and some of the other cast members and things. I haven't shared with you too many Mary shows, and this is the reason I've been kind of saving them up for this week, because Mary was born on June 23rd, 1906. And now, this week on Thursday, it'll be June 23rd, 2016. 110 years after she was born, so it'll be her 110th birthday. So I thought to celebrate Mary's 110th birthday, we would present some shows with Mary Livingston that I've never presented to you. There'll be some that I've already presented, but I just thought we'd get a chance to showcase those. But tonight is probably the crowning achievement in a way, because this is, of course, The Tonight Show from 1978. After she'd released her book about Jack Benny, she did only 2 interviews. She did an interview with Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show, and then about a month later, she did an interview with Dinah Shore on the Dinah Show. Luckily, we found both of these this year, so I'm going to be presenting tonight, The Tonight Show, and later this week, we'll be presenting her interview on Dinah, her last 2 interviews, as far as I know, of her entire life. Both of them done fairly quickly after she released the book about Jack and their lives together and his performances. Anyway, without further ado, enjoy Mary Livingston. Happy birthday, Mary, this week, 110. And enjoy Johnny Carson and Mary Livingston. Oh, also, when I listened to this, the sound was way too slow. So I sped it up, and I sped it up again, and I sped it up again, and got it to the right speed. I went too far at one point, but I brought it back. I think this is about the right speed. They both sound right. Johnny Carson didn't sound right at all, neither did Mary. So I speed corrected this. I hope you're going to enjoy this interview.
And the NBC Orchestra inviting you to join Johnny and his guests, Mrs. Jack Bent, Orson Bean, violin virtuoso Eugene Fodor, and Monty Rock. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Johnny.
Well, you sound in a good mood tonight. Then we have a little something special tonight, just to kind of get you going. My special guest, because she's a special lady and a special friend, Mrs. Jack Benny, is here tonight. My next guest is a rather special one. She's a close friend of me and my wife, Joanna, and for many, many years, Mary Livingston was a professional radio and television star, but she's probably best known as the wife of Jack Benny. Would you welcome, please, Mary Livingston, Mrs. Jack Benny. Put on the A dress tonight, huh?
Yes, I did.
I want to thank you for coming. How many years now? We know each other well. How many years has it been since you have really appeared on radio or television?
Oh, I imagine, 15?
Something like that.
20, something
yeah.
like that, yeah.
And it's interesting because we talked about this beforehand, and you talked about it in your book. Now, you worked for Jack on stage.
Yes.
You worked in radio. You worked in television. And you said there came a time when all of a sudden you develop what they call mic fright. And a lot of people who are not in show business may find it impossible to believe how a performer all of a sudden who's worked gets afraid of the mic. What happened?
Well, I don't know really what happened. When I first went on the stage, well, I sang a song every week, and nothing bothered me. And then I went into radio, and everything was fine until I finally realized that we had quite a large audience.
The number one show in the nation for many years.
And that made me quite nervous. So when Jack and I used to work this way, facing the audience, you see, and then when I found out we had
millions.
A few listeners, I turned and faced Jack. And
wouldn't look at the studio audience.
Oh, I was frightened of the audience. And I would take my papers and throw them out, and half the time, 2 would go at a time.
And there goes the script.
And there goes the script. And then I went into television, and everything was by accident anyway, but I went into television, and everything was fine. And then all of a sudden, I awakened Jack about 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd been on about 10 years, and I said, doll, this is my last show. I'm a wreck.
Yeah, you said
so
the day of the show, you'd say you'd start to think about it so much.
Well, I'd wake up 3 or 4, 5 times a night.
Just thinking about having to go in front of the audience.
To go on and face an audience.
I remember reading stories, and I think I mentioned this about Mary Pickford or somebody of her caliber who, when she did her first radio show, they had to disguise the microphone because the appearance of the microphone absolutely put her into a panic. So they would put flowers around it, like you're talking into a bouquet or something, and it made her feel comfortable. But later on, I'm going to play that tape for you.
Oh, I'd love
Which Jack didn't get a chance to hear. We were at the house one night, and I was getting late, and I said, you never got a chance to hear this, and I dug a few things out. And I was asking Freddie DeCordova, who was Jack's director on his television shows for how many years?
Oh, long time. About
nine years. That's where I first met Freddie. I was doing a guest shot on a Jack show. And I had a question. And I've noticed, I was asking Freddie beforehand, Jack's character on television and radio was so well established.
As being cheap.
As being cheap and a little bit vain. And you were his girlfriend. And I've often wondered, and I never asked you this before, he always played a bachelor, didn't he?
Always.
You were his girlfriend who dropped in. He was always at home with Rochester. You would go over, you would meet someplace. Was there ever a period of time where the writer said, hey, let's have them get married?
No, never.
Why? I wonder why that never came up.
Well, I think it's the same reason that Jack never wanted to be more than 39 years old.
In other words, don't break the image.
Don't break the image and leave it at 39. I think that when I first went on radio show, I went on as his secretary.
And played kind of dumb,
and
the
played
dumb girl.
the dumb girl, I think. And then later, as we got Dennis Day and the different people on, they would write me out as a different kind of a character, but never Mrs. Jack Benny.
Yeah, and you became the kind of wisecracking girlfriend. But that just occurred to me. That was interesting. You're married in real life for, what, 48 years?
No, we're married 40... January would have been 45.
45?
Yeah.
And yet you were just his girlfriend on the
Girlfriend?
On the show.
When I was married to him, I was his girlfriend.
Yeah. You had a great marriage. You know what? You really did.
Oh, we did.
You and Jack.
Yes, of course.
It shows in the book. You adored the man, and it's obviously he adored you. And the interesting thing about the book, there are things in here I did not really know.
Well, I think there are a lot of things that people really don't know.
And other things I have seen. It tells more about the kind of a person. And practically everybody you talk with, you and Hickey, who did the book.
My brother, Hillard, and Marcia Boyer,
everyone you talked with came up with almost the same thing. They said, Jack Benny was a nice man. He was good and so forth. And I've never asked you this either. Did he do anything that really bugged you around the house? Little things.
Yes.
I mean, that really could irritate. I mean, nobody's perfect. Jack was a lovely man, but he must have had a boiling point.
Jack was a darling, darling man, but he had quite a temper. I mean, as Freddie can tell you.
No, I never saw that. I never saw that.
He'd never stay angry very long, you know, but if he got angry, it was very, very fast and over very quickly.
Oh.
And I got used to those moods, you know. And if we had a tough day or something went wrong at the studio, I would quickly never look at him when we went to work, you know. We'd have an argument or something would happen in the Sunday morning, and we're driving down to the studio, and I never spoke to him. Went to my dressing room, got dressed, came down, and worked, and we worked this way, and I worked above his head. I never looked at him. You know, because
didn't want the contact.
I didn't want to, you know. And he finally would say, Mary and I had an argument this morning. And I had a temper, and so we, she's not looking at me, and then we'd laugh.
But then you got over it quickly.
Then he'd get over it, yes.
Jack was a good-looking man. Was a
yes,
handsome
he
man.
was.
And ladies were attracted to Jack. I know Joanna adored him. Because he had a vulnerability about him or something that women like. And I sensed in the book, Mary, I don't know, a little tinge of jealousy once in a while when he worked with other ladies.
Yes.
Wait, a little bit?
I think I was jealous of Jack up until the last minute, yes. When I first met Jack, Jack was probably, I think, one of the handsomest men I'd ever met.
He was a rake, I guess they would say in those days. I mean...
And pretty blue eyes and...
Bluer than the waters of Lake Louise. That's what he used to say, right?
I was going to ask you how blue were they?
How blue were they?
But anyway, he was a darling man. But he had a terrible habit when we first got married, and I started working with him. And the phone would ring backstage. And
I remember.
Some girl or something, and Jack never said he was married. Never.
So he'd just say, not tonight, or I can't see you.
No, I can't see you tonight. And finally, I was standing...
And you were already married?
Of course. And we were up... I was standing at the top of the stairs, and the phone rang, and I was getting ready to go on the stage. And the phone rang. Jack answered, oh, I'm so sorry, but I just can't make it tonight. We'll make it another night. And when he came upstairs, it's in there. I got so angry at him that I scratched his face. And he went on like that, and I think that's what started that whole...
Remember, he used to stand like this? So it came out of a jealous... Yeah. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back. We got some more things for you. Fascinating. Stay where you are. We're back talking with Mary Benny. Isn't this fun now?
Yes.
See how easy and all this worry. She says, feel my stomach a moment ago. And you're going to pump, pump, pump.
You have a wonderful-looking audience.
Yes, aren't they? They're a lovely crowd, aren't they? We're talking about Jack. You mentioned this business. Is it true that you still get a red rose from Jack every day? You mentioned that in the book.
Yes,
It's sweet.
after Jack passed away, I think it was about a week later, a red rose came. No name, just one red rose. And I thought, isn't this lovely? Somebody sent me red rose, how dear. The next day, and still came, and I couldn't figure it out. And I said, well, who's the florist? You know, if I call the florist, they probably could tell me. Nobody knew. It wasn't until and I still getting them every day. And it was about, I guess, 6 months later when the florist, David Jones,
told you that
Jack had told him to send me a rose for the rest of my life.
Well, that is sweet. I mean, that gives you... That's the measure of the man. That pretty much is the measure of the man.
I think that kind of adds and sums Jack up a little bit. You know?
It really does. You said it. I mean, he is that kind of a man. As George said. George Burns is close.
Well, I always said
he's basically a nice man.
I'm sorry. I always said to Jack, you know, you're a nice man, Jack. And he used to scream. I'm sorry. You know, I'd say, I love you, doll, or something. But I always say, you're such a nice man, Jack. And, you know, he'd pound on the table or something.
Yes, delayed reaction Jack had on things. He was naive in certain little areas, like you go to dinner. Jack really never figured out the tipping.
Oh,
how much to tip.
No.
Not that he was cheap. On the contrary, he would over-tip sometimes to live down the image. And
he never knew.
And people didn't like it if he would tip him because they said, Mr. Benny, please, you're ruining the image.
But Freddie or somebody or you
was there?
Always had to tell him what to tip because he never knew.
Yeah, Jack would say, how much should I give them?
Money never meant anything to Jack. Honestly, it didn't.
I know I asked him once, and he'd been asked this question before. I said, what's the greatest thing about being world famous? And Jack thought for a while, and he said, not having to stand in line at the airport. Or little things like that, the little courtesies you would get because you had the name. I think I first met Jack in, this is in fact from out of the book. I hope you don't mind a personal thing, because you had this in the book, and this is about 1950 or 51 when I first met. Look at the black hair. That's when he was doing a radio show out here. And Freddie,
right, he is good looking.
Yeah, isn't he? Oh, he was a handsome guy. And this is, Freddie brought this in, Freddie DeCorpia, which is his favorite pictures of you and Jack.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that a great picture? This is a show I emceed for Jack in New York once. I think it was a Kraft Music Hall. And you can see Jack, and when he laughed...
And he's laughing.
He was a great audience, and George is breaking up. And Jack, so I sent it to Jack and George. And Jack wrote on top, he says... That must have been funny. Love, Jack. And at the bottom, George said, I must have said something. That was George's comment. Now, the thing I mentioned before, and I hope you will like this. I did this in college, and I talked to you about it. This is about 1947, and I was trying to explain radio comedy. And as I explained, Jack had probably the greatest influence on my life as a performer, because when you're young, you listen to people, you steal a little bit, you steal a lot. And when I look at myself 25 years ago, I was outrageous, some of the things I would do, because I would be almost doing Jack's gestures, and I had to pull back. So what I had done in college, I had taped various radio shows, yours, Burns and Allen, Drew McGee and Molly, Bob Hope, the days of the great radio shows, which were wonderful.
Now the Milton Berle.
And yeah, yes. Well, I wasn't stealing. No, I wasn't stealing, Mary. I was trying to point out the way jokes were constructed and characters on radio. And what you're going to hear is something I'm introducing on the tape. We're going to do something you normally don't do on television. We're going to sit and listen for about 2 minutes. Radio. And to listen to the structure, and because I want the people to hear you. The young people, you don't know how good you were. Maybe you did. You were a good performer. So this is explaining a typical, what they call a misunderstanding joke. And then you will hear. So roll the tape, audio tape, and we're just going to sit and listen. The situation is based on misunderstanding when there's a confusion of viewpoints about a single action and results in conflict that appears ludicrous to the audience, which is aware of all sides of the action. I've selected another scene from the Benny Show to illustrate the formula of misunderstanding. Notice the confusion of viewpoints on the one action. You see, Jack's been using the ironing board as a runway to practice his dance routine for television.
You know, Rochester, maybe I ought to try and...
I'll get it.
Say, Rochester, no matter who it is, don't mention anything about the new dance I've been working on.
I won't.
Remember.
Coming!
Hello, Rochester.
Hello, Miss Livingston. Come on in.
Mr. Benny home?
Yeah, he's getting dressed. He'll be down in a minute.
Well, then I'll wait. And don't let me interrupt you, Rochester. Go ahead and finish your ironing.
Ironing?
Yes, you've got the ironing board up, haven't you?
Oh, I wasn't using that. You see, Mr. Benny was... Uh-oh.
Mr. Benny was what?
Well, he was getting ready to wallpaper the living room.
Well, back home I used to help my mother paper our house, and Mr. Benny is going at it the wrong way. It seems to me that...
Well, good morning, Mary.
Oh, good morning, Jack. Rochester told me what you were doing with the ironing board.
Oh, we did, eh? Rochester, I told you not to say anything about what...
But, Jack, you should be glad he told me. I can show you a few tricks.
What do you know about it?
Oh, I used to do it with my mother.
What?
Oh, Mama was wonderful. She used to work with a brush in each hand.
A brush in each hand? Well, didn't your father object?
No, if she didn't do it, he'd have to.
Mary, dollface, what are you talking about?
Wallpapering the house.
Oh, wallpapering. Oh, of course.
There you are. That's good back 30-some years. Huh? You were good. Isn't that funny? The book is a fascinating, intimate book at a unique performer, man, husband, that I know you will enjoy.
I think it's a good book. I'm a little too close to it.
It is, really.
You know, my brother had a lot to do with it. You know, Hickey and Marx, they had a lot to do with it. But I think it's interesting, and I think...
Got all the things in the book
think it's
that you want.
honest.
Yeah. I know this hasn't been one of the things that you do regularly, Mary.
I think the last time was about 15 years ago.
And to calm down, you probably have to go out and buy yourself a piece of jewelry or something. just to settle yourself down after this.
Yeah, I have an appointment right now.
Okay, thanks for coming. Just pick up a little box. That's true. That is her first public appearance on radio television in about 15 years, and it is not easy when you have found it. But she was lovely.
Beautiful.
Charming. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. We have an historic presentation for you tonight. It is the second surviving episode of the Jack Benny Show from 80 years ago this weekend. And I just hope that you're going to enjoy it. I really thank the folks at the Cobalt Club. When we brought you the first episode about 6 months ago, folks had said it was the clearest they'd ever heard it. This episode, the Cobalt Club team has gone through and cleaned this up so nicely that this is the best I have ever heard this episode. It's entirely listenable. Before, I could never really listen to this episode very much because there was so much static and so many issues with it, but they've really cleaned it up nicely. Thank you so much. I think you all are going to really enjoy this episode. It is the first surviving episode with Mary Livingston. She'd been on the show for a while now, but all those episodes are lost, but this one's not. So you get a chance to hear Mary in doing her role a little differently than she does later on. Of course, her role started out as the girl from Plainfield who came on the show, kind of as the kind of a dumb character like Dennis Day and Kenny Baker, but they kind of took that piece away from her and made her kind of the smart, glib puncture of Jack Benny's ego in later years. But at this point, they're still trying to find her character a little bit, and so she might be a little different than you expect. But it's fun to hear how she's going to morph over time into the Mary that we get used to. As for everybody else on the show other than Jack, they're all pretty much different than we are used to. There's no Don Wilson or anybody else that's that continues on. There are some minor characters that you'll hear that I think you'll realize, oh, those become a little different, or those are characters that we will hear again later. But as far as the major players, they're all different. And I just think you're going to really enjoy this. I'm just so delighted that it survives. I wish we had more episodes from this early on, especially with this kind of sound quality that's actually listenable. But, we have what we have. We are, of course, missing tonight's episode from 60 years ago. But this helps make up for it a little bit. And anyway, keep joining us. We'll keep bringing you these episodes that are 80 years old when we have them. I think the next one is about 3 weeks away. But they're going to start coming a little more regularly as time goes on. Anyway, enjoy, and we'll see. Well, hello again. This is Buck Benny speaking. This episode goes out especially for Jim, who is one of my listeners and was in the hospital, and so now he's out, and that's great, and I'm glad he's recovering and everything. And he asked him what show he'd like to hear for our Classic Benny show, and he decided he'd like to hear the first episode with Mary Livingston on it, and so that's what we have for you today, thanks to Jim. Anyway, what we have here is, this is the actual second episode available of the Jack Benny show. The first episode is the one I aired a few weeks ago that I said was the first ever episode of the Jack Benny show, which it was. Then the show was at that point on, I think, twice a week. And the next 68, 69 episodes are missing and still not available. Hopefully someday someone will find them. But this is the first episode. After that very first episode, this is the next one that's out there. And so Mary had already been on the show by now for quite a while on a number of episodes. But this is, of course, the first one, the first surviving episode we have that features Mary. It's a New Year's episode, so they talk a lot about New Year's. It's from 1933, which is a long time ago, of course. And it's just fun to hear Mary and Jack and the whole gang, but a different gang than we're used to. This is, of course, before Dawn was even on the show and before Kenny Baker. There's not going to be anyone you recognize really except for Jack and Mary. But there are a lot of other famous folks that were with Jack for a while. Anyway, I just thought I'd talk about Mary for a few minutes. As you've heard from other podcasts I've made and things, sometimes she gets some negative press for being a little too harsh and that sort of thing. On the show, I think she was brilliant. I don't think... and of course, for her being non-professional when she came on the show, which I always think is a joke, because to me, radio was such a new medium, how many people were true professionals? A lot of people were just jumping in there and starting out and became professionals. And I think that's what happened to Mary, is that, fine, you can say she's not a professional in 1933 and maybe 1934, but by 1935 or 36, she's been in it for a few years and she's become a professional in the industry at that point. And I just think she adds to the show. When other women take over for her, if she wasn't that great, they would do just as well, but they don't. To me, there's always something missing when Mary's not there. Her delivery's a very special delivery that she has, and very unique. I especially have come to appreciate her more now that I've listened to the Fred Allen Show more, and realized that Portland Hoffa, wonderful though she is, only has so much she apparently can really do on the show. They don't often use her in the skits or anything. She's, and you can tell when she's working with Fred. Often she's laughing at his jokes and things, and it makes fun. But she's just not as professional as Mary is, and that's kind of funny to say, but that's what it seems like. Because Mary can do the skits, she can do a lot of the bits. She can even ad-lib a little bit with Jack at times. She just really does a nice job. I love her interactions with Dennis and with Kenny and with Phil and with Jack. She's solid. I mean, she's solid, and they're lucky to have her. And her poems, I think, are fun, because those go all the way back to the beginning. Her letters she writes and her poems, and then of course her letters from her mom that come to her, and they go all the way through the show, and even into when Jack appeared on the Lucy show for kind of a This Is Your Life, Jack Benny sort of thing, in, 70, probably 72, something like that. Mary's not specifically on the show, but her voice is, and she gets to do some of that. Some of her letters and poetry come through on that episode, and that's fun to see. It makes a direct line back to the girl supposedly from Plainfield. She's not really from Plainfield, of course. Her real name is Sadie Marks, and she's from Seattle, Washington, which is pretty close to where I'm from, which is pretty cool. And she, of course, did meet Jack in the May Company. She actually met him years before that when they were having... he had dinner at her house, but she was a little girl at that point, and I don't even know if Jack remembered it until she told him later what had happened. But then he officially met her again at the May Company, and the rest is sort of history. And the one thing I hadn't heard a lot of that I read, I can't remember which book I read this, but that Jack was out on the road and he wrote he had a piece that he wrote for a woman with him, and apparently a woman did it with him one time or something, and then she had to go away or something happened with her, and so he asked Mary if she would sub in, and so she did, and folks saw it and they loved it, and they thought she was great with him. And then he was able to replace her with another professional then, after a little while. But when he did that, it didn't work as well, and folks said, well, bring her back. Bring back the other girl you had. And he said, well, that's my wife. So he brought back Mary, and then that worked out. And then she didn't appear with him for a while, and then he got the radio show eventually. And after he had the radio show for a little while, he decided to bring Mary back into it. Supposedly the story, and I don't know if this is true or not, but the story is that again he had a girl for a part, and then she didn't show up to do it. She was playing Mary Livingston from Plainfield, and so Sadie Marks came out and did that, and did a great job, and so they kept having her back, and pretty soon she changed her name to Mary Livingston, and there you have it. So anyway, enjoy this great episode with Mary Livingston. If I had another introduction I did to this before, when I had the episode on, a year and a half ago, whenever it was. If I find that one, you might hear two introductions in a row. But anyway, this is the current one, and then the next introduction is from before, so it might be a little more. Whoa, fake horse. Hello, this is Buck Benny again. I'd like to introduce you to Fake Horse, my horse. Very kind horse.
Hey, of course, say hello to the audience. Very good. Welcome to the podcast. Today, we have a spotlight episode on the first surviving recording with Mary. And she was on lots of recordings before this. I never quite understood it. Just actually figured it out last night. So I'm going to share it with you folks. I don't know how many of you understand this. I'd always thought that the Jack Benny Show was a weekly format show. But as I was figuring this out, I was going, okay, we're missing about 6 months worth of episodes between the first recorded show, which is the very first episode of Jack Benny that I was on our Spotlight episode last week, and this episode that has Mary Livingstone in it, which is the second recorded episode that's available, and there are over 50 in between that are missing. And well, how do you get 50 episodes in 6 months? When I was looking at it in Laura Luff's book, very good book that she has. She has a couple books out that are about the Jack Benny Show, and 39 Forever, the second edition, volume 1, shows that the shows were on every other day to begin with for the first season. So that accounts for all kinds of episodes that were made, unfortunately, have been lost to time for now. Hopefully someone finds them some point. But that's why we're missing so many episodes in between the first recorded show and the second recorded show. So here is the second recorded show. Mary's first time we get to hear her on the show for current audiences listening. Not recorded in the best quality, but we've got what we've got. And we'll be back next week for another Spotlight episode. Please enjoy the other episodes that are on the podcast, and thanks for listening.